Good afternoon. This is a regular meeting of the Central Valley School Board, which is being held in accordance with the May 13th, 2020 meeting notice as published in the Times. The public would be able to listen and view this meeting via live stream. Public comment, which was submitted by 9 a.m. on June 18th, will be read by the board secretary at the beginning of the meeting. After reading the comments, the board will consider the agenda as published on the district website. The chairperson will read each of the agenda items after board discussion, and a closed vote will be taken. Thank you for your understanding and the necessity to have a virtual board meeting in order to continue the operations of the district, but we must follow these procedures during these difficult times. So I would like to call to order the June 18th meeting. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, please call roll.
Mr. Ambrose?
Present, thank you.
Ms. Belcastro? Here. Mr. Bloom?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Moad?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Dr. Eunice? Mr. Zaritsky?
Here, Mr. I. Miller, are their phones still on mute? I know that Dr. Eunice.
I'm going to text them right now. There's a possibility that they just did not unmute their phones.
It's not muted. If that's blue, it's good.
Their phones.
Can you hear me or no?
Also, inform everybody of who else is in attendance.
Yes, so John Malley, business manager, is here. Colleen Kearns, the board secretary, is here. Ed I. Miller, our director of technology. And via phone is Pete Hallisey, our solicitor, as well as Al Malo, our solicitor.
Okay. Under routine items, an executive session of the school board was conducted remotely on June 15th, 2020 at 9 a.m. to discuss personnel matters and to receive information. Under the minutes, we're looking to approve the combined work and voting session minutes from the May 21st, 2020 meeting, which is found on attachment A. May I have a motion on item 1, please?
Dennis Bloom, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bloom. Second?
Second. Ross.
Mr. Ross, second. Is there any discussion on item 1? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report, Mr. King.
Number 1, the following bills and reports are submitted for approval. A, pay bills. Number 1, confirm the May 2020 general fund payments in the amount of $907,912.36. Attachment B. Number 2, confirm the May 2020 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $23,459.79. Attachment C. Number 3, confirm the May 2020 construction payments in the amount of $196,718.28. Attachment D. B, the report to approve the May 2020 Berkheimer report. Attachment E. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Thank you, Mr. King. Second.
Joe O'Neill, second.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill. Is there any discussion? I do have a question. On the construction fund payments, more payments are we looking?
Construction, the money is down to 0.
Okay, so that was the last payment.
Yeah, this 196 was for the bond payment for June in the general fund.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public comment on agenda items. Colleen, is there any public comments?
No.
Thank you. Under agenda items, to approve the appointment of Mr. Tom King as treasurer of the Central Valley School Board for a term of 1 year, July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, in accordance with sections 404 and 438 of the Pennsylvania School Code, with a yearly stipend of $250. Number 2 is to approve permanent professional employee contracts for the following employees in recognition of attainment of tenure status. Ann Drake and Courtney Modis. Looking for a motion on items 1 and 2. So moved. Mr. Ambrose, thank you. Second.
Tom King.
Mr.
Tom
King.
Moad, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I don't see anything under negotiation items, Mr. King. We'll move to education, Ms. Belcastro.
Number one, to approve an agreement with Interim Healthcare of Pittsburgh Incorporated to provide skilled nursing services for supplemental nursing staff in Central Valley school buildings, field trips, and additional services upon request of the district at a rate of $50 per hour, terms and conditions according to agreement. That is attachment F. To approve the release time request, we have the conference in the first column, individual, and then the date. Number three, to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Private Industry Council of Westmoreland Fayette Incorporated to operate the pre-K counts program effective August 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, which is on attachment G. Number four, to approve an outreach service contract agreement with the Western Pennsylvania School for Blind Children at the cost of $98 per hour, subject to terms of the agreement beginning August 31st, 2020 through June 10th, 2021, which is attachment H. Number five, to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Psychological and Learning Center in Central Valley School District to provide school-based mental health services for the 2020-2021 school year pending approval by the solicitor, which is attachment I. And number six, to approve resolution 2019-15, approving a flexible instruction day as proposed by the administration, which is attachment J. And I will make that motion. Donna Belcastro will make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Belcastro. Second.
Second.
Mr.
Lucky
Ross.
Russ.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Is there any discussion? Mr. O'Neill?
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
On number 6, the resolution approving a flex day, are we approving one day or the ability to do numerous days?
The ability to do numerous days. So what happens is the state requires us to put together a plan, send some exemplar lesson plans into the state. So after you approve this, then once next month you approve the board minutes approving that you approve this,
Right.
I send it all to the state. It has to be sent to the state before September 1st, and then the state will either approve or deny flexible instructional days.
So we're more or less approving the idea.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Have anything under technology? Mr. Einmiller, Dr. Eunice? And then we'll move to athletics. Mr. O'Neill?
And I hate to bother you with all this, but this is all current. We have names. I will read through the names, even though this is a long read. To approve the following fall coaching staffs and stipends, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. We have the names, the positions, and the salaries. I'll just go through the names for each. Under boys soccer, Bradley Humble, Jared Harden, Roel Roberts, Steve Benner, and Luke Baldwin. Costs and titles are there. Girls soccer, William Pfeiffer, the assistant to be decided. Brittany Fayer, middle school. Steve Leach, volunteer assistant, middle school, and to be decided for a second assistant. Girls volleyball, Candace Glumack as the head varsity coach. Justin Rubb, the JV coach, assistant. Haley DeZumba Rubb, a volunteer assistant, and Michael Glumack as a volunteer assistant. Girls tennis, Tim Casey, the head coach. Roxanne DeLon, JV assistant, and Dwayne Hardick, volunteer assistant. Cheerleading, Heather Samovosky, head varsity coach. Stephanie Cruz as the assistant varsity coach, and Brandy Miller as the middle school JV coach. Girls golf, Craig Morris as the head varsity coach. Dave Bell as his assistant. Boys golf, likewise, Craig Morris, the head varsity coach. Dave Bell as the assistant. Cross country, William Young as the head varsity coach, and Amy Young as the assistant coach. Under varsity football, Mark Lyons as the head coach, Larry DeVincentis, offensive coordinator, Wayne Tatalovich, defensive coordinator, Zach Turley as an assistant, Tony Rita, Scott Slater, Skylar Cron, and Tyrone Dixon, all assistants. John Barr, the quality control coach, and James Kazel as the volunteer assistant, another volunteer to be decided at a later date. 7th and 8th grade football, Dave Kramer as the head coach, Cecil Brazos assistant, Craig Musgrave assistant, Gene St. Clair volunteer, Mike Bendekovic volunteer, and Preston Cron volunteer. Middle school girls basketball, Samantha Gianetti, the head coach still to be decided, Samantha Gianetti as the head 8th grade coach, and Mark Miller, volunteer assistant coach. Number 2, to approve the athletic health and safety plan for the phased return to youth athletics. That entire plan has been sent to people. If you have questions, we can direct them to Dr. Perry. Other than that, I'd just like to make a motion to approve 1 and 2 under athletics.
Okay, thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Bloom, second.
Mr. Bloom, second. Is there any discussion on the coaches and the plan? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I don't see
Mr.
any-
Perry, or Dr. Perry, just one other thing under that. There have been numerous occasions of people, despite the fact that we have signs posted, we have people climbing over the fence onto the field. We have people using the batting cage, et cetera. I haven't seen anybody climbing over the fence into the field, but it's been reported to me that that's happened at least once. In case other board members didn't know it, it's my understanding, talking to Sam, that until we open officially, everybody's in the same boat as we.
So our facilities are closed. We do have 2 requests today for Colt League to use the baseball field, and we have a request for the Little Warriors to use the Todd Lane football field, which you'll vote on here today. If approved, then those groups will be sent a liability waiver put together by our solicitors. Once they sign off on that, then they'll be permitted to use those facilities. The general public in itself is not to be using our facilities. Now, granted, once we open up for the athletic plan and the stadium gets opened back up and so on and so forth, the public's going to continue to think that it's okay to use the facilities. Obviously the difficulty in that is we're trying to put plans in place, disinfect, do that and the other thing. And then we have people from the public coming in to use the facilities. At some point in time, we're going to have to open them back up and, deal with the fact that the public is, wanting to use the facilities.
Well, folks in these organizations are going to have to understand until they sign the waiver,
Correct.
they're still off limits.
That is correct.
I have a question about that. Are they the ones that want to use the field, the Warriors and Colts? Are they under that guideline that we have for? No.
They're not under the specific school guideline, and please, Pete or Al, feel free to jump in with regards to this question about whether or not the youth sports teams that are asking to use facilities or community groups asking to use facilities are not under our school safety plan. But that being said, they are required to be following the CDC recommendations for the use of school sports. Al, Pete, you want to jump in and
Yeah,
please add to that?
they're not really part of our safety plan, but we as a school district have a responsibility. And I think we have sent to the district a form for these types of organizations to sign. Hello?
Just unmuted himself.
Hello?
Pete, is the people that had called me on the Colt, my understanding is, I haven't seen it, I'm just going by word of mouth. Supposedly they have in place also, like what we have in place for athletes, a waiver from the parent. Also, they have their own. I don't know if that means anything.
That I don't know. I mean, I can't control youth sports and what they do. So
I guess I'm passing out. Maybe Sam maybe could push that issue or ask them if they do,
Pete, Al, whomever,
Yeah, Al was talking. I don't know if you could hear him.
we could not.
Okay, I'll just.
Yeah, could you hear me?
Now we can.
Hello?
Now we can.
Okay. Sorry. No, what I was saying was that they're not necessarily under our school safety plan, but we have an obligation as a school district to protect our citizens and our students, and we can't have these groups coming in and just using the field. I think we have the right to control how they use the field and what guidelines we want to impose. We do that regardless of the pandemic. We can tell them what they can do and can't do because it's our facility. If I recall correctly, we did send an agreement for these kind of groups to sign where they are agreeing to follow CDC guidelines, distancing, and all of the requirements, or we would have a right to terminate their use of the field.
That is correct.
So I strongly urge that we have them sign those agreements. If they don't sign them, then I also urge that they not be permitted to use them.
Right. So I said, and I don't know if I was clear enough when I said this, is that nobody's using the facility until they sign off on that waiver.
Right.
We will make it very clear that they need to follow the CDC guidelines, or as you said,
And
essentially we'll revoke their use of the facility.
Dr.
and I
Perry,
think
this is Tom.
we should be posting those guidelines or signs on these facilities.
That we're in the process of doing that now.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. Moab.
Dr. Perry, are we on the buildings and grounds at this point, or my
Yeah, we are.
comments
We're
then?
going to get into it right now, Tom. If you want to just take it over.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so number one, to approve, confirm the following building usage requests pending final approval from the superintendent regarding COVID-19 regulations for the high school baseball field in Todd Lane. I'll move to do that.
Mr. Moed, second. Mr. Ambrose, any discussion?
Aside from the fact.
My comments on it, this is Tom Moat again. On our guidelines for practices as we implement and get sports started again, we're having no fans in the stands during practices. Is that part of the agreements for these?
I don't believe the waiver has anything to do with that.
So I
Because
do.
We would have
There will
let
be
me
a
take- let
huge
me-
point of contention, I believe,
let me
if
take
you
that.
have,
I apologize. Let me re-speak. In the letter that we're sending to them, it says there'll be no spectators permitted until further restrictions have been lifted for the state CDC and Department of Health.
okay, because if we're preventing the varsity parents from attending those and then they see youth sports there, I think would be a point of contention
I'll
that
make
we
sure
shouldn't
that
have to deal with.
I'll make sure that's highlighted.
Anything else, Mr. Moed?
That's all I had.
Mr. O'Neill?
The date here on the high school baseball field starts 6/12.
Well, that's what they put in for their.
I understand that, but
Which is why the sentence at the top says that the superintendent will determine when they can use it based on the COVID. We have facility request stuff that we approved months ago.
Right.
For stuff that never happened because we didn't let it happen.
I'm just assuming that folks are using that facility because they know that 6/12, they were okay to use it. But it has to be under the provisions of
I can tell you that the athletic director has spoken to the people involved with the baseball program, and the baseball program was very aware that they're not supposed to have been in that cage.
Okay, good.
They are very aware of it.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I can't sit here and police everything that happens around the school all day long.
So Dr. Perry, if we're voting what Mr. Moa just presented, if we say yes to this, then they could start as soon as they sign that waiver.
Correct.
Okay.
They could start. They have to sign that waiver and follow
The God,
the guidelines in there.
I will make sure the athletic director contacts all of them today.
Any other comments in regards to this? All in favor?
George, this is
Wait, hold on.
George, this is Dr. Eunice. I got knocked out and then I'm back in. I've been in for a while. I
Okay.
just wanted to let you know. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bloom, personnel.
Yes. We need to approve the retirement of John Cornelius, high school teacher, effective June 16, 2020, attachment K. To approve the following personnel for extended school year, pending receipt, review, acceptance of all clearances. Alyssa McAllister, $20 an hour. Chelsea Costello, $20 an hour. And Elise King, $20 an hour. As teachers, paraprofessional, paid their hourly rate. Stacy Kwaniak, Erica Morris, and Tracy Turkovich. Number 3, to approve the following personnel for band positions, pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. I'm going to name supplemental band. The names, Wendy Lewis, band director, Tori D'Angelo, assistant director, Jessica Patterson Galeta, assistant director, Amanda Poletti, color guard majorette, Wendy Lewis, middle school band. Summer positions are Austin Petrella, Samantha Lash, Emily Dingfelder, Faye McCaglia, Casey Reinsteidler, Joey Capadero, Corinne Castronova, Natalie Manning, in one position to be determined. Number 4, to approve the following summer workers at a rate of $10 an hour, pending receipt, review, acceptance of all clearances. Larry DeVincentis, John Barr, Kim Weber, Jan Belich, and Rob Kane. Any other, Mr. Perry?
No, I do want to make a comment about summer workers. We had talked about cutting back on summer workers. And then last year we had a mass retirement, so we did allow some summer workers so that we could get the facilities clean. With the pandemic and everything going on, and the unknown of what types of changes we're going to need to make to facilities between now and the start of school, I okayed us doing some summer workers so that we could get all that work done.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Bloom, second. Mr. Ross, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Ambrose, Finance.
Number 1, to approve the adoption of the final general budget for the 2021 school year. This includes revenues of $38,476,367 and expenditures of $38,422,069. Number 2, to approve the following supporting taxes/resolutions for the 2021 school year. Real estate, 61.98 mills, an increase of 3.3% or 1.98 mills. Local service tax, $5 per person. Earned income wage tax, 1%. Our effective rate is 0.5%. Mercantile retail, 0.75. Mercantile wholesale, 0.5. And real estate transfer, 1.0%. And our effective rate is 0.5%. Number 3, to approve the appointment of the following as depositories for district funds. Cafeteria Fund, West Banco. Student Activities Fund, Central Valley High School is West Banco. So is the middle school, Todd Lane, and Center Grange Primary School, all with West Banco for student activities. Number C, Capital Reserve Fund, Invest. D, Payroll Account, PNC and Peasloff. E, the General Fund, PNC, West Banco, and Peasloff, and Invest. F, Mercantile Fund is by West Banco. And G, Credit Union of Central Valley School District, which is with United Federal Credit Union. To approve on number 4, Resolution 2020-01, authorizing homestead and farmstead exclusion real estate tax assessment reductions beginning July 1, 2020, under the provision of the Homestead Property Exclusion Program Act and the Taxpayer Relief Act. Number 5, to approve the following insurance coverage policies through the Jack Bonus Agency Insurance effective July 1, 2020. Utica National for the commercial package, business auto and umbrella at a premium of $107,232. And number 6, to approve the premium of $132,352 for workers' compensation insurance coverage with Housing Redevelopment Insurance Exchange effective July 1, 2020. I'd like to make a motion.
Mr. Ambrose moves 1 through 6, second. Mr. O'Neill, any discussion?
This is Mr. Moed. I'd like to just make a comment. A lot of credit goes to Dr. Perry, Mr. Malley, and the administration, I think, for balancing our budget, keeping us in the positive. I think we've made some great strides in that area. Wasn't that long ago that Mr. Ambrose, you said we were in dire financial straits. I think we've done a good job of turning that around. And I think we need to keep on that track of building our fund balance and keeping our district in a fiscally responsible manner.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Turn it over to Dr. Perry.
So our July meeting, which is a single meeting, it's a combined meeting, is already scheduled. I would recommend that as long as the CDC guidelines and the state guidelines remain the same, that we go back to a regular scheduled meeting, public meeting, depending on, as long as the numbers stay the same for gatherings. If something would change between now and July, we certainly could make a change. But in the meantime, I would recommend we go back to our normal schedule. Also, I would like to comment on the return to school in the fall. I know people are itching to get information with regards to what school is going to look like in the fall. Obviously, things continue to change on a daily basis, hourly basis, weekly basis with regards to what the guidelines are. We as a district have been working and will continue to work on plans that address what it's going to look like if we are green, yellow, or red coming back to school. I ask that the public be patient as we work through that over the next month to try to provide information to everybody on what our options are going to be on returning back to work or back to school. I will tell you that the administration has been working. We've been meeting with our transportation people, or will be meeting with our transportation people, our food service folks, our facilities folks, so on and so forth, to determine what school is going to look like in the fall. I ask once again, just please be patient as we work through that process, and we will have a well-planned, well-thought-out plan, just as we did for the distance learning that took place over the last 3 months. So as an administration, we will continue to work on that, and we will hopefully have some draft planning to at least put into place come here sometime in July. Also, I want to thank everyone that was involved with commencement, all the parents that were involved, so on and so forth. I thought commencement turned out to be a special event under the circumstances that we were dealt, and all those involved are to be commended. I also want to thank, now that the school year is over, not that I didn't thank them before, but, just everybody in the organization, from the board to, the teachers to the custodians, every member of our staff for the efforts that they put in to make sure that education continued, as seamlessly as possible under the current cards that we were dealt. So we've tied our shoes back up and buckled up again for, planning here coming back into the fall of next year. Today, I can't tell you what that's going to look like, but I can assure you that we will have a solid plan in place come August.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Perry. Colleen, we got to move board member comments above superintendent comments because Dr. Perry likes to take all the thunder away from everybody else. So now that we'll move to board member comments, Mr. Ambrose.
Comment, I have to thank you, Dr. Perry, and whoever else is responsible for allowing us to meet face to face. Okay, I thought it was very encouraging, and there's some people who can't attend because of work or whatever, but they have the option. So thank you very much.
Okay. Ms. Belcastro.
I'm just going to go with Dr. Perry and thanking him and everybody else for making this a great school year.
What?
Mr. Bloom.
Great job keeping us on board in the right direction.
Mr. King.
Agree with everything Dr. Perry said, and I will thank it.
Mr. Moad.
Just echoing their comments, I think everyone, top to bottom, did a tremendous job in finishing the school year in a positive way. And I know there's a lot of work that has to go into starting the next school year. And I just hope we allow them to focus on that.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, Mr. Ross.
Just echoing all the positive comments that were made, about the school year, et cetera.
Dr. Eunice?
Yes, I just would like to say thank you for the staff at the school. The commencement was very nice. I wish them a lot of luck and patience with the changing COVID thing, how they have to keep redirecting and changing it up and going with the flow, because I know it's very difficult. I'm a business owner, and I know that our daily activities have changed, and we've spent tons of money doing that to accommodate our patients and staff. And I know that we have to do that at the school district. So I, wish them a lot of luck with that we open up with our arms open. I hope that it does stay green, long enough that we can do this. But otherwise, yep, that's it.
I do want to add one point, if you don't mind, with regards to, I'm sure you're going to see information out there about the PCCD has money out there for school district grants for safety, things like that. That money, along with that CARES money, is supposed to be focused towards, as much as possible, anything that you would need COVID related, any of the PPE stuff that we would need going into next year. Our nurses have been working on getting PPE orders ready to go. All of the Beaver County districts are putting together a similar spreadsheet for PPE, things like masks and temperature checks and, all of those types of things. Anything that we may be doing, even with the safety plan, we're having to put things in place that we typically wouldn't have. So I'm sure the people in the public see that and want to know what's going on with that money. All those monies will be earmarked towards things related to COVID, so on and so forth.
And I'd just like to say the same thing. Thank you. And I thought that the commencement was wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. I think that there's a lot of credit goes to Mr. McCreary and Mr. McCovacan for taking a lot of time and getting that pulled together to do something special for the 2020 seniors. So I'd like to express that to them. If there's no other comments, Mr. Ambrose, go ahead. No. Okay. We'll look for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Ambrose, could I get a second? Mr. Bloom, all in favor? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.